Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing Amy Lee of Evanescence performing My Immortal live. Oh, awesome live strings.
I'm so tired of suppressed by all my childish fears. And if you're after me, I wish that you would just leave, 'cause your presence still lingers here, and it won't leave me alone.
So she hasn't opened her mouth further than this yet. It's been very closed, but it still had a pretty rich sound to it. Some of that is just because it's her voice. Some of it is because she's singing really well. But you don't need to open your mouth really wide in order to have a nice, rich sound, especially at these lower notes. As she goes higher, I'm sure she'll modify it because she's a really good singer. She'll be able to modify her vowels so that they continue to sound the same as her lower notes.
These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real, and there's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears.
She goes between phrases using really heavy legato and then letting the consonants break it up a little bit more. You dream I wide away all of your tears. And then the next one. I prefer the one that's a little bit more legato. I think that that's easier to sing through. And the one that's more broken up tends to become a little bit more compressed. There generally is a little bit more strain. Doesn't mean that you can't do it, and she's doing fine through it. But just if you're experimenting with this on your own, play around with how legato, how smooth you can make your phrases.
And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still want me.
When she started that vowel, she started it all of me rather than all of me. And it's just because the ol vowel feels a little bit better. It's a little bit narrower. It's a little bit rounder. For most people, you will have an easier time going towards that more narrow, rounder place than all of me. That sets you up so that the next part's hard already. All. And all that really changes is how you're positioning your mouth. She has so much forward buzz even in her lower notes. You used to captivate me. It's not like, you used to captivate me. She has some forward ring in her voice. A lot of people would feel that generally more in their nose or up like forward in their face. And the result is just a sound that's got a lot more core to it. I like it because it connects better to your high notes if you treat your low notes like this.
Bound by the life you left behind, your fate yours, my once pleasant dreams, your voice had chased away all the sanity in me. These wounds won't seem to heal, this pain is just too real.
That was such a nice phrase. This pain is not, rather than this pain is not too real. It's so easy on those words, pain and not, for it to get a little bit wider and out of the feeling of the overall song. But what she did was just, this pain is not too real. It's just all right there in that place.
And there's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away.
I think that could have a little more legato.
When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears.
The only reason I bring it up is it does seem like there's a little bit of tension. Just a teeny bit. She's doing things really well, but I think that just evening out the airflow with a little bit more legato in the sound would kind of drop off that tension. I think that she's doing it really fine and that most of these decisions are intentional, but if she's... It also kind of looks like she's a little bit tired with some of it, and I haven't listened to them live very much. I've listened to a lot of her recordings, and I just haven't heard that kind of strain in her voice before. So I think just evening out the airflow would basically take care of all of it, because everything else she's doing is so easy.
I held your hand through all of these years, but you still. I've tried so hard to tell myself that you're gone.
As she started going up, because this is basically like just a hill, da, 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 and then it comes back down. When she was going up, she kind of whined into it. Na, 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 self. And then when she got to self, she opened it up. And that was kind of at the top of the hill. So by doing that, she was able to trick her more open vowel into having some of this over-the-top ring. Yeah, 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 self versus na, 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 self, which doesn't have any of that over-the-top ring and would immediately go flat. But because she starts that phrase, she starts going with the ascension already in this place that's forward, she just has to open her mouth. She doesn't have to change very much about her vowel.
But though you're still
I love that she started it small, grew into it.
been alone,
There you go. Yeah, so she started that phrase, that's the only time where it got a little bit more harsh. I feel like she's just going from this kind of tight vowel space to a really open one. But that next time, she started in more of the forward place and then just opened her mouth slightly, but kept that forward feeling. So it didn't have that harshness of the vowel that was so similar right before. So you can have open vowels, but they still need to have this forward buzz. Otherwise, it gets too trapped in your throat. It starts pulling chest voice too easy. Things just get unbalanced very, very quickly. So I liked how she did it that second time. The first one was a little compressed and then opened, removed all of that pressure, but was harsh. The second time it was a little compressed, but it was more forward, it was whiny. And then when she opened it, it kept those qualities of forward and whiny. Same.
when you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears.
Could be a coincidence, but after she drank the water, she does seem a little bit more relaxed. Maybe I'm making that up. But usually if you swallow, just the act of swallowing, especially liquids, kind of can reset some of this stuff. If your larynx has been really high, swallowing can, the swallowing muscles after they're used for swallowing kind of relax a little bit, and then your larynx can stay a little bit more neutral. It's just a really nice thing. Even though the water doesn't touch your vocal cords, swallowing is a really nice action, especially if you're feeling tense at all, which I think that she is for a little bit of this performance, for most of this performance.
When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. When I held your hand through all of these years, but you still
That time she used it, I think, to accentuate a point, to just be more expressive. She went to this wider, almost wailing vowel, and then it had a little bit of distortion in it because that vowel is going to create distortion. It throws things off a little bit. Whether you call it a crack or distortion, who cares? But still, she did that, I think, on purpose. It still had a little bit more forward ring to it, but it also had this this cry, this hoarseness to it, and that's from the vowel. So it's kind of interesting. She's going back and forth between these really closed vowels, not even super close, just how you would with speech. And I love that. I think she's great at that. And then when she opens it up, sometimes she holds on to that forward feeling, and sometimes she just opens it to a almost pure chest sound. But when she does that, it's to get a more yelly, more cry, just a sadder sound. I think that she's doing it on purpose. But I do think that she needs to just increase the legato all the way through and make sure that she's not over compressing, because that becomes a thing also, is if you're over narrowing, then it starts compressing too much and it's not as fun. And that's awesome. Love that. She starts from a very clear forward place. It's not super loud. It's probably at like a 5 or 6. But then when she comes back down, she gets breathy. She started with her chords together, and then she just let the amount of resistance go away until it was mostly breath coming through for the last note. I have heard her sing before where these problems that I'm talking about don't really come into play. So I do think that most of what she's doing is by choice, just because she wants to do this. But this is also 58 minutes into a set, and I don't care who you are. After singing for 58 minutes straight, you might get a little bit tired. And if you're not doing everything technically the exact right way, like, it's people's bodies are biological. If you work out for an hour, you're going to feel something. If you sing for an hour, you're going to feel something. What we can do is just try to minimize that. And I do think that just relaxing that a little bit, it wouldn't affect the vowel too much. She's already got a very open, rich sound. I think that just relaxing the vowel a little bit more would only help increase the richness of her sound. She could keep that forward placement with that more open vowel. So I'm not really sure why she didn't do that, other than sometimes when you get tired, the coping mechanisms that we use, the things to try to deal with being tired, are sometimes a little bit not right. They kind of hold us back. Like for me, sometimes when I get really tired, I end up just pushing a little bit too much. And it feels like, oh no, I'm tired, I need to help it, but it actually hurts it. I need to just bring it back, relax a little bit into it, and remind myself not to push. So if I'm right about this, which I might be, but who knows, I think that just doing a few of these things to help relax through the set, I would just want to make sure that everything she's doing is intentional rather than a choice made because she's fatigued. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Go check out the description below where I have links to my Patreon, my Instagram, and my website, where you can go sign up for a voice lesson over Skype or FaceTime. Thank you.